A quick update on my Sport Cub S2. You can see the fuselage in front of me here on the workbench. You'll see she's pretty beat up. So right now it is in for, as we old Air Force people say, depot level repair. I made a rookie mistake the other day of trying to fly this airplane, and I use a FlySky T6 radio, which I have right here, and I think like most radios, this radio holds 20 models, but when you turn it on, it defaults to the last model that you just got done flying. So in my case, I had just got done flying this beauty thing up here. If you can see it, it's a Hobby King Pitts, and that's the subject of another video, but for purposes of this video, after flying that plane, I came back. I said, well, I'll fly the old Sport Cub a few more times. So I got the battery in, got all wired up, checked the surfaces, went to take off. Sure enough, the programs are about 80–90% the same. The motor runs, she started climbing out, and she climbed out, got about 30–40 feet, and she immediately dove in and hit on this side. You can see how crooked the nose is, smashed it. So anyway, in for depot level repair. Got a new fuselage coming this week. It's 43 big ones, so live and learn. But while it's in, what I want to do is give you an update on my landing gear mod. You remember my landing gear braces that I had on there before? Well, I decided to upgrade them while I got it apart. And here's what I've done. The previous wire I had was this part here, was an old white coat hanger, which worked fine. It was pretty good, but every time you really jam this back, this coat hanger would either bend in or bend out, and you'd have to straighten it out after the flight. So I said, well, I'm going to make it out of music wire. So I got some music wire, and this is 2mm music wire I'm making it out of. In addition to that, the end pieces on this, what I've done is taken a Dubro quick link, which I guess I have over here. This is what they look like. Got to put them out here. Dubro quick links. These are actually a little bit too big for a 2mm music wire. But anyway, you take these, here's one here, you take them and you solder them on to the end of your music wire. Now, since these were a little big, I had to fuss around with them, literally cut this slot with my good old Dremel tool, kept making it smaller and squeezing it down with a pair of pliers. When you finally get it soldered on there, then you got to cut off this one leg. Cut off one leg, and you end up with a nice little I don't know what you call it now, a little end of your landing gear braces. A nice little flat piece of metal there, and you have to ream this hole out. That's another problem, to ream this hole out. What you want perfectly is a number 3 panhead sheet metal screw about a ½ inch long. But guess what? You can't find them. They make number 2s, they make number 4, they make number 6. But try to find a number 3, you can't do it. I talked to a guy in a hardware store this morning, said he's been working for 34 years in the hardware business, never heard of a number 3 panhead sheet metal screw. So I end up buying number 4s, and you have to ream the hole out a little bit more. You can see maybe that it's getting sort of, I didn't want to make it much bigger because it's getting kind of thin there. So anyway, if you've seen my previous video, it's the same basic build. You take the wire with this soldered on, these are soldered on, so good and strong, and you measure the length up to here, and you put a bend in it. Now this 2mm music wire is not easy to bend. I have several pair of pliers, locking vise pliers, and big channel lock pliers, and so on and so forth, and it took several tries to get this angle right here, to get this even close. It wasn't perfect, but it was close enough that when you finally get it there, then you take some fine wire, you strip out of another piece of electrical wire, and you start wrapping it. Just like I mentioned in the previous video. So same build technique, but this is 2mm thick music wire, very springy. This should really take an impact. And what I did when I got finished, I cleaned it all up, and I took a regular indelible magic marker, a black one, and I just colored it. And it came out, I like it. It's not heavy like paint. It sort of gives it a blue finish, like a blued gun barrel. So I like the look of it. So when I get the new fuselage, get her built back together, it should work just fine. You know, the fuselage is here, and of course it'll set down in there and be fastened in with the clips and clamps. And you put your, I decided to put the screws in the furthest holes out. I had them in the first hole here. I decided to put them out here in the furthest hole out. I think that'll give a slighter angle, just a slight angle on the impact. Whoops. Well, anyway, you get the idea. This goes in here. We'll screw in here. And I think that the angle on this will be pretty good. And this being springy, this is not going to stay bent. It may spring back, but it'll spring straight again when you use it. So this should be really good. We'll see how it works when the new fuselage comes in. So anyway, live and learn. Hope this helps. I'll post this online and see what you think. So until then, until later, safe flying out here.